Have you all out there ever seen this individual? Yes, this man here. Has he ever paid a visit to you in your dreams? And if so, did those dreams start off kind of weird and strange, but nothing too harmful, but then all of a sudden they became nightmares? Well, I'm here to let you all know that you're not alone. I have also seen this individual, and we're here today to talk about this man, those dreams, but more importantly, is the movie that we've seen this man in any good? And is it worth checking out? Well, let's talk about it. What is going on, movie fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to share with you all my movie review of the new A24 black comedy fantasy film starring Nicolas Cage by the name of Dream Scenario. Very excited to give you all my thoughts and let you know if those dreams are real, but also if this film is worth checking out. We're going to be breaking it all down in today's spoiler-free review, but first, I want to talk to you all in the comments. Let me know if this is a film you all were excited to check out, but more importantly, once you've seen it, let's talk about the good, the bad, the directing, the story, the concept. What were some of your favorite moments, your funniest moments, and what were some things that didn't work for you all? Let's have those conversations in the comments below. So for those that aren't too familiar with this film by A24, let me give you a brief synopsis as we follow Paul Matthews, who finds his life turned upside down when millions of strangers suddenly start seeing him in their dreams. Now, when his nighttime appearances take a nightmarish turn, Paul is forced to navigate his newfound stardom. I want to start off by talking about the writer and director of this film, Kristoffer Borgli. He does such an excellent job of capturing the essence of dreams. They can be fun, silly, wild, or sometimes scary and terrifying, and he applies those same feelings into this film and handles that switch in tone so well. The director really does a good job of switching the tone because the first half of this film really plays and leans into the more comedic and a little bit more strange elements of this unexplained phenomenon, but then when we shift into the more psychological thriller and almost horrific elements, the film never loses its appeal while telling the story about a man who lives a pretty uneventful life and all of a sudden has become one of the most popular people in the world. Now, on a completely different side note, this director here, when they inevitably do make that new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, he needs to be in the conversation because he handles those dream sequences so well in this film, and I would really like to see him tackle Freddy Krueger, especially with this tongue-in-cheek approach to our character Paul, who is kind of considered Freddy Krueger in this film. So I'm very impressed by his direction, but I also want to give props to the cinematographer here on making those dream sequences feel very realistic, but also very unsettling. But keeping on the subject of the film's tone, I really found the comedy to work well within the context of the film. It never felt forced or out of place, but instead it felt natural and it made sense to the characters in the situation. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, obviously comedy is very subjective, but one of the funniest moments I've seen in the movie in a very long time, and particularly in this year, happens in this film, and it involves kind of low-hanging fruit joke involving like farts. Whenever you see farts in a film, it's just like, oh, this is kind of silly. But there's a fart in this movie that was just flat out hilarious. And again, comedy subjective, but I found it to be one of the funniest scenes I've seen all year. Now, performance-wise, I thought everyone was good from the supporting roles, but I really found Nicolas Cage and Julianne Nicholson to really be great. Julianne Nicholson plays his wife and tries to be supportive at first since their lives aren't that exciting, nor do they want that type of attention. But once things take a turn, she tries to snap Paul back into their regular lives and try to get him out of the situation, but it's too late. But I really think that she's just great in everything she's in. She elevates every project I've ever seen her in, and she's just really great in this movie. And I almost wanted more of her because she's just so fantastic, but she was really great, and I really liked the chemistry she had with Nicolas Cage, who we all know is a great actor. I love that they gave him good material to play with, and he didn't feel wasted because there's so many movies I've seen of Nick Cage where he's just such a talented actor, but they just want him to be Nick Cage and just do Nick Cage things, but they don't give him enough substance to really kind of play into the narrative and the story. He's just doing random stuff, which is great sometimes, but it doesn't really fit into the film. But this is a perfect match of a great actor with a really awesome concept with a great story at the same time. Nicolas Cage plays our main character Paul as he's just a regular professor who life has changed, and seeing that change affecting him, but also seeing Cage having fun essentially playing Freddy Krueger at points in this film was just so entertaining, but also having moments of sympathy for the character. That's all due to the great concept, great script, but also a wonderful performance by Nicolas Cage. I can't stress enough how much I love the concept in this movie. Like, I think of Talk to Me and this as like two of my favorite concepts in the film I've seen so far this year, because I'm personally so interested in dreams and what they can mean, and how this film interweaves that with today's use of internet fame and influence and what it can do to people both positively and negatively, especially when someone gets canceled. And to that point, I was so surprised by how much the film shines a light on the elements of instant fame in today's society, and how quickly people can go from loving you and having fun with whatever the particular viral sensation is, to once things kind of turn to the more negative way, how cancel culture plays into this film and how it completely can derail someone's career and their relationships. I found it to be very insightful, but also added another kind of unexpected layer to this film that I personally wasn't expecting. Now, really some good things to say about the film, but I will transition into my negatives. One being, while I did enjoy how the film had some social commentary on cancel culture and internet fame, I did find that the time spent on those topics mixed with the impact it had on the main character and the family didn't entirely work for me at some parts in this movie. Mostly in the second half, where the film takes a more serious and dramatic spin. Like, I wish that we would have had more time with the family, like getting a little bit more into the details without spoiling anything. Like, the way that it handled Paul's family and the impact that this situation had on them was forgotten in the middle of the movie, and then they bring them back into the fold at the end, but the impact on the emotional beat didn't entirely work because they were missing from the middle part of the movie. I wished it would have focused on 2 or 3 of those main talking points versus spinning off of them and then opening up a new can of topics to have. Like, individually, certain topics in this film work. Like, for example, there's like this idea of monetizing people's dreams and how influencers would do that maybe in the future, probably sooner rather than later. That's a funny idea, but it just adds on to all these ideas that, again, individually, I like what the film is trying to say, but when you take those pieces of the puzzle and, like, collectively speaking, they just don't all entirely work for me. But those are my main positives and my main negatives. Before I give you all my overall thoughts and give you my score and let you know if this film was worth checking out, I want to take the time to thank you all for making it to this point of the video. If you haven't already, consider hitting the like button, sharing your thoughts on this film once you've seen it in the comments, as well as potentially sharing this video to anyone and everyone you know that might be interested in seeing this film, but also consider subscribing to the channel. Overall, Dream Scenario has one of the coolest concepts that I loved in a film all year, as it tackles modern online fame and what happens when canceled in such a fascinating way. Nicolas Cage plays a nerdy college professor turned Freddy Krueger-ish perfectly, and I'm convinced that Julianne Nicholson makes anything she's in so much better. Now, there are some story beats that don't entirely work, mainly in that last half of the film, but there's a lot to like about this movie as it dives deep into shared trauma, social media fame, and the need to be included, but nothing will prepare you for one of the best farts in cinematic history. I'm going to give A24's Dream Scenario a 3.8 out of 5. A24, continue to take risks. You're easily one of my favorite studios. I know there was an article that came out a couple months ago that they want to focus on maybe bigger IPs and whatnot, and I understand they got to pay the bills, they got to keep the lights on, but I just love A24 films. Even if I'm not the biggest fan of all their movies, I just love that they take risk and they have really cool concepts, and this is definitely one of them. So again, 3.8 out of 5 for Dream Scenario. Definitely give it a watch, and when you do, let me know your thoughts. Did you have a dream after watching this film? But no, let me know your positives, your negatives, thoughts on the story, the concept, and everything that this film had to offer in the comments below. I want to thank you all again for watching today's review. Before we wrap it all up, just a friendly reminder to like, share your thoughts in the comments, consider sharing this video, and also consider subscribing to the channel. You all are awesome. Hope you're staying safe, and I'll catch you all in your dreams. Take care, everyone.